Hey, Dean, Sea Performance, Package Shop, and today we are on the other shop, working on the Airboat. So I got everything taken apart. I didn't really record anything, which I probably should have, but I got the old Phytech unit off and the new Sniper is on. And then I went, getting up and down on an airboat is not always fun, but constantly gotta pay attention. I took the nitrous brackets off, took the nitrous feed line out, and then kind of just, I put the hat back on. The charge pipe is off, it's in the other bay. I just had to cut it a little bit, get it back together. And then I took like the old mechanical sensor wiring off and decided to kind of start just going through and taking everything apart. Basically, I undid all of the wiring to the boat. You can see there used to be a really big loom. You can see it in here, this one, with all of that. Basically, this whole can is full of what I pulled off this run. Just a bunch of stuff that even I kind of added in and then took back out. And like, we added an MSD box, and then the Phytech was acting real funny, so we took the MSD box off, and it's just been crazy. So that's a huge reason why we went to that Sniper unit. The software is just far better. There's nothing that compares to the Holley software, for me anyways, my personal opinion. So the throttle cables back on, these are crazy the way they loop through all these pulleys. It goes down there through another pulley, and then it comes probably it just hooks to the pedal right there. So it runs all the way back, and then it has like fish hooks, which is pretty neat. The way to tie them in. So it's on and works, 100% throttle, which is good. And then this is all the other stuff that I took off. This is more of the wires that ran to the back, the gauges. And I took this panel. This is like the gauge panel that used to sit. I'm probably gonna drop it. Hold on, I got it. This used to sit like this, and it had all the mechanical gauges, all the switches. Has the Phytech handheld thing, which does you no good back here because you can't see it from there because the wire's too short. And it also had, stuck up inside of it, up in here, yeah, it was 2 holes. Huh. Yeah, there were. No, there it is. Those 2 holes. It was stuck in there on the inside. Was like one of these. Oh, shit. One of the little fuse panels. And when I was taking it apart, I think it was this side. Well, maybe they just weren't pushed in, but there was a couple of fuses that literally like just fell out of it. So this really isn't like a marine grade type of fuse block. Everything's exposed. I mean, it's held up. It's not really getting doused with water or anything, but it's all off. I left all his little LED wiring, but I did kind of undo that side where he tied the 2 wires together and then kind of looped it all the way around. What I'm gonna do is I'll most likely take all these LED wires, figure out where they go, which lights they go to, and then I'll break them out and route them a little bit neater. And then my idea so far, is to, off of these two brackets here. Oh, I also took all the fuel stuff off, the regulator and stuff, right here. He did a really good Airmotive regulator, and we had a gauge in it. Then we had another gauge up at the throttle body, but we won't go back to all of that. So my idea is to, off of this bracket here and that same bracket there, is possibly make a panel that kind of covers this back section, and that'll be where I'll do like what I did on the S10, just S10. I will do like a fuse panel relay all integrated into one, so it should have like 4 or 5 relays and then like 8 or 10 fuses, whatever I can think of. Like the LEDs won't need a relay. I'd like to put the starter on a relay. I'd like to put the big fog lights on a relay. Do the sniper on a relay. Yeah, that's probably about it. I mean, I'll probably think of more stuff along the way, but that's kind of it for now. But yeah, I mean, it was pretty crazy to think that there was so many wires tucked up in there. Like, it's just a giant box of wires. Like, it's literally a pile of wires and hoses. These cheap hoses. Yeah, I put them on, I admit it. But that's kind of what we had when we had it, and what I did, and may not be right, whatever, worked. So yeah, so what I'm going to do is take, I mean, these 4 wires are all that's left, kind of what it was. And the 2 yellows are actually for these fog lights here. So I can look at doing kind of, let's see, now I'm looking around. I can look at kind of doing the other light, maybe instead of the wire running all the way, that's the loom right there for it. So maybe instead of that running all the way over, I can take the wire, because they self-ground on the brackets where they mount, which is cool because it's just 1 wire each. I can take that wire, bring it along the top of the cage, and then bring it down to here, and then run it up as 1 harness. And then the bilge pump, that stays, which is this purple wire. So at this point right here, make 1 harness go over. Then there's the starter solenoid wire, which is kind of funny that it's 2 size wires, and there it is. So there's a smaller wire there, it works, but there's a smaller gauge wire on the starter side, and then a larger gauge wire going up to what would have gone up to the starter button. So yeah, so I can kind of clean everything up by doing the relays back here, and then use something more like this switch panel to trigger each thing. And the boat does have a circuit breaker here, so that main power, I can trim that back and do like the like a power block on it. That way I can power the whole piece Then come off of that with that'd be the battery feeds to the relays, and up to like whatever else. I don't know. You gotta lay it all out. So on this one, what I'll end up doing, what got kind of all over the place, is I'll draw it out on paper, and kind of figure out like, okay, I have this, list it all out, and then list out what I'm going to do on a relay, and then I'll, do the panel and mount it. I mean, I might even mount the panel flat, and kind of do everything underneath of it. That way you can't see anything. It's a little more of a hidden look rather than having a big panel there with, a bunch of electrical stuff on it. But I want to do all that. So I'm going to have to order like the fuse block, the junction block for like power and ground. And then I'm also going to change up the fuel system a bunch. So right now, currently, it has, what I did a long time ago was to accommodate the EFI, we had it feeding off of here, and there was a tube that went in and down, and there still might be a tube that goes in and down, but now I use that as the return. And then over there, right there, I did a -10. Yeah, it's a -10, but then I reduced it to a -6 because at the time we weren't really going for, other than wastegate, basically, so, which is like 4 or 5 pounds. I think it makes like 6 pounds of boost. But now with the Sniper, we have boost control, so I can add the Mac valve, and then, he can turn it up. So I don't want to run out of fuel. I don't want to do an issue like that. So I think what I'm gonna do is do a -10 from there directly to the pump. Because this pump does work good. It does siphon the fuel up to it. It works really good. And that's like I think it's a 380 liter per hour pump. And it already has the -10s that we reduced to -6. So I believe, like in my head, what I'm going to do is a -10 on the inlet side, so it pulls a -10, then do a -8 feed, split it into a dual 6 through the water separator. It might work as a -8 through the water separator, but it's only 3/8 NPT. So I don't want the water separator to be an issue, and I honestly don't think we need a water separator. So I may end up eliminating it. So if that's the case, it'll make it a little bit easier because I do -10 in, and I could do a -10 out, change these fittings. I'll do a -8 out of the filter to a dual 6, somewhere up in here. I don't know. I gotta look because I gotta add the regulator back in and all that good stuff. Now what I want to say is the bottom of this regulator is the return, the back is the feed, and then you got 2 outlets, which what I may do is a -8 in the back of the regulator, 2 -6s out of the regulator, and then 2 -6s up to the Sniper unit. I'll feed them both in this front side right here. Currently it has the return on the back and the feed on the back, so I could swap those two fittings to the front and swap the front fittings to the back, because we won't use the return on the Sniper. I'm just more of a fan of external regulators, so that you know. And then I can also, as long as we have, which I think we will have enough stuff, I can also run fuel pressure and oil pressure, which I'll change this oil pressure gauge to a transducer, and then I can run, instead of the gauge off the front of the regulator, I can run a transducer in the front of the regulator and feed that back into the Holley, and then this way here we can data log oil pressure, fuel pressure, all that good stuff. But yeah, also on these, all of these Snipers, Vitex, every one I've ever done, I've always done a ground off the actual base plate of the throttle body. I don't rely on the intake bolted to the head, bolted to the block. I don't rely on all that, being that there's gaskets, and you know, you could lose like a resistance, I think is what you lose through the ground. So I always do that ground. It's something that takes, you know, 2 minutes to do, and that's this wire right here, and it comes down, it goes directly onto the negative battery cable on the front of the block. So I always do that. But yeah, getting it cleaned up. Pretty much got everything all apart. Hiya. And already started getting stuff back together. So yeah, I mean, this one shouldn't take too long. I also just noticed that this wire here, for whatever reason, comes down and then over, and instead we could, and it could have been because the exhaust used to be there, but we could make it go across right where it ties in to the navigation light up top, way up there. Yeah, you can kind of see it right there. And then see, it comes strings, and then it strings over, so we can change all of that, keep all the wiring on one side. It'll kind of simplify it a little bit. And then these are just, this is just an LED feed that comes up to these ones. So again, it doesn't look like it's actually connected. Oh, it is. It's just missing the tape, really. But yeah, so I can undo this. It's soldered. Okay, so I can undo this, and probably, like I said, probably ground them, you know, right into these bars. Could do all the grounds on the LEDs right at the bars, kind of like how these fog lights are. They're just dirty grounds. And then yeah, we'll get going from there. So I'm going to see if I can get that charge pipe welded, get that back together, and then go from there. But for now, appreciate you watching. Like, subscribe, hit the thumbs up, and hit the bell to be notified of new videos. But that's it for now. I'll probably make another one at the end of the day, see how far I can get along with this. And appreciate you watching. Have a good day.